Brenda Ringwood, and I am your host for the Becoming the Best You TV talk show. This isn't any ordinary TV talk show. It is a show about becoming the best version of yourself. The change is possible if you really want it. We share stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things, sharing encouragement, hope, and perseverance of overcoming from people from all walks of life who are doing wonderful things. It is our hope that the things they have struggled to overcome will encourage you to step up and do the things that you want to do in life. To step out and be heard. Don't let your past stop you. Don't let fear and doubt and what others say get in the way of your happiness. Stay tuned as we share amazing stories in hopes that your dreams will unfold. And remember to always put your crown on. Wear that crown because only you rule your kingdom.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining me on the BTBY live television broadcast. Here we go today. I am Dr. Regina Platt, the stepologist, and I am here with Isabel, the intentional healer. And today we're going to enter into a conversation. And so, what I want you to know first, the first point we're going to start at. It's time we get comfortable being uncomfortable and be willing to step forward and tell our stories, right? Because our stories are testimonies that help transform others' lives. So my first question goes with person. Who is the person, Isabel Black?
Well, hey, Regina, it's nice to be here with you. And the person behind Isabel Black, it's a broken person that has a lot of trauma, a lot of confusion in life of what's the right direction, because my mentors were really great at disguising themselves to get what they want in life. And so I was so there was just a lot of confusion, I would say, but hurt, confusion, trauma. That's who I was, and that's who I've just and breaking free from.
So me meeting Isabel, she's very intentional about the healing process, right? That was the thing I grabbed hold of when we met. The other part is she understands that to get through the process, you got to learn something, right? You got to lean into something. And I've watched her lean into a variety of people to help them step. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And that's the passion part, right? Yes. So the person, like I said, brokenness, confusion, just not sure which direction in life was truly safe or right. And then comes passion. Well, as soon as I started getting to an age of not necessarily understanding what was going on in life, but understanding energies I was feeling within, when I felt safe and when I didn't feel safe. Your senses alert when you start feeling just something isn't right in a space. So with that awareness, I started realizing that I could be purposeful, I could be useful, even at a young age. And it started at 10, 11, 12, where I could, because I started understanding the difference between the two energies and where I wanted to be. Okay. I liked the feeling of a peaceful energy. But what I noticed was sometimes the energy that I would feel not safe. Sometimes it would resonate with the feeling of pain and confusion.
Right.
And I didn't understand what was going on, but I knew that I had something within me where I always was able to keep a smile on my face and I could make people laugh.
Yes.
So even at a young age, I started realizing, even though you don't know, you can help these people have peace just with your presence.
So one of the things we do know is, right, you can't help people if you remain where they are, but right. You have to go ahead so they'll have space to come behind.
Right.
And so as Isabel entered her journey, right, entered understanding that she's a leader,
Right.
entered understanding that she has to identify those things within her that need to be transformed and take responsibility for the transformation process.
So responsibility didn't come until way later at life, and that's 2017 when my intentional journey started.
Yes.
And it was fine and dandy. I understood that and by this point, I'm understanding I'm a little more in control of my life. And it's just a matter of choices and stuff. So I'm putting those pieces together. But so I knew that even though I was doing good for myself, accountability.
There we go.
I reached that point because in 2017, my kids were already basically grown. My youngest was finishing up high school, graduating from high school. So I realized that all my good works were great, but they just weren't enough. And I couldn't figure out, but how is that not enough? I've sacrificed, I've given so much in myself and of my home and my children and my time and my everything for other people, for my family, to help people get to a better place. But it was that accountability I was lacking. And I just spoke about this on Wednesday last week, Activate Your Power Now, where it was slave of an illusion. And I really believed that my problems, because they were, I mean, if we sat down and we wrote out the facts, my problems were due to other people's behaviors. Because the decisions I was making in life, if I just had to go based and take care of myself and do for me, I'd be fine.
So I love that you got to that point, because we know events, right? Events happen. We don't have control over the events. We don't have control over the people. But the outcomes, right? We get to that point through us taking responsibility, us doing the thing that shifts it to align with that
Right.
which we want. And I watch you do that piece where you're like, this is who I am. I am a healer, intentional healer. And so when I walk into spaces they may be in chaos, but the chaos does not become mine.
Correct.
And I love that part.
Not anymore.
Not
anymore.
And when you get to that point, right, where you see you're in a point and you start to pick up that energy, right, that negative energy that weighs us down and gets us gets us into destructive distractions, right? How do you take hold of that? Walk us through that.
So there's, just like with anything else in life, there's always proactive things we do. We never wait. We shouldn't wait, till we're sick to decide or till we have diabetes to decide to start eating right, or things like that. So I started learning, because I was in survival mode, to pause, breathe, and just sit a little time in silence. I was very uncomfortable with silence. I come from people who is, you got time to lean, you got time to clean. You never looked unbusy in my world.
I like that.
So taking time to just not do anything was a huge adjustment for me. And that means just quiet time. And yes, people say, but I get in my head and that's scary, but that's exactly why it's needed. So we can get in a point where we can sit with ourselves peacefully.
Yes.
But I had to take time, pause, and breathe, and meditate, and eat right, and stretch. When I couldn't do yoga, just stretch, because just stretching our limbs and our muscles and our tendons and our bodies helps release trapped energy. But I had to prepare my vessel so that I was less likely now to put myself in a space and be vulnerable to attach other people's energies to myself.
Right there, when you land right there. So first off, let's go. I need you to remember this. Sit, pause, and breathe. Silence can be beneficial to you. Now let's go back over here, because you just got a piece on that journey, right? We're there. You've done the work in some of the areas, right? And people talk about this big thing about, I'm doing good things, right? But to do good things is not everything, right? And as an intentional, let's tap back into this because Isabel's the intentional healer. As an intentional healer, she knew she couldn't be superhero. She knew she couldn't be everywhere with everybody. She had to begin to choose, right? So that she wouldn't lose. Come and tap into that part.
In that silence, right? I gained so much more than I ever believed I could have imagined that I would gain. And you hear me speak on this also, like silence and quiet time should be our main focus for our day, and then we just fit everything else into that. So with that additional guidance by being in silence, I received guidance. I no longer started finding myself in places I didn't belong either.
Yes, I love
so that's part of it. All goes back to self, because once I figured out who I was and all my complaints and grievances in life of why people couldn't see me for me, they couldn't value me for the person I was, they, you know, all these things. But then I had to realize that's who you're showing up to them as. Why wouldn't they treat you like that?
So people will bring you what you bring out, right? What they see in you. People will bring you what they see in you. If they see you as a healer, they're going to come to you asking for assistance with healing, or they're going to want to come rest in your presence, right? And so the other part with being that intentional healer, right? You said some things about those that may be struggling with high blood pressure, diabetes, all these different being depression, anxiety, like being overwhelmed. The body keeps score.
Yes.
And so the body spoke, right? Your mind, when you had cloudy thinking, it spoke, right?
Well, yes, and my body spoke to me in 2020.
Okay.
And that's where a new gaining of awareness came. And it was the C word nobody wants to get.
What do you all think that C word is?
And it wasn't COVID. It was, we had just had our lockdown for COVID, and I knew something big was coming. God, I knew when he was preparing me, because I literally, 2019 coming into 2020, felt like a superhero. I felt like God was just preparing my mind, my heart, my body, my everything. And then COVID came, and I said, oh, here it is. Okay, someone's getting sick. There's going to be a huge tragedy, and I have to show up and show how strong I really am, how faithful I am in my belief of this intentional living. And it wasn't that. It was cancer, and that came just a couple months after the lockdown. So even with that, this was my awareness I gained with that. And I just spoke to my mom about this last week. I knew that when the first words out of my inner circle that I told, meaning my mom, my sister-in-law, anybody close to me like that, the first thing they said was, no, what about Dave? What about Addis Bay? They need you. You can't do this to us. What are we gonna do? The family. And I said, well, I'm sorry if I'm inconveniencing anybody, but you're asking me to feel bad about something I have no control over. I said, so I can't feel bad. And from that moment on, I realized through this journey, my job was to be strong for them. And the only way I was able to do that was to spend time with him. And I only was able to spend time with him in quiet time because my mind is too busy. I've been through too much. I'm going through too much right now. But it's when I get quiet, and then, yeah, my mind's not quiet for the first 10 minutes. Who am I kidding? When I have quiet time, you have to sit through it. For me, it's about 20 minutes in. That's when I'm like, I'm coming out, I realize I was in. And so it has to be taken serious. If you want transformation in your life, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to look different. It's going to feel different. You're going to be wondering why, but why not?
So I heard a great man today actually talk about that unlayering, and I'm gonna use an N word, and some of you may get nervous, but he said something about getting to the point where you become naked, where you remove all those things. And so you going into that point, what I hear as you say that, you became naked.
Yeah.
You couldn't
Exposed.
wear your cape had to leave, right?
Yeah.
Not only did the cape leave, all the labels had to leave you, and you only could sit in the presence and
Mhm.
focus right where you were. And I think that's amazing that you allow him to illuminate your path for you to be able to see that greater is in me.
That's right.
Oh, come on.
And I have to say this, you guys can't see it, but I've noticed it about you before when you get in the spirit. Your eyes have just literally changed colors while I'm sitting here talking to you. They've gotten lighter. But yeah, and what I had to learn through that, see, it wasn't even about cancer. Cancer was just the end result of me not dealing with my stuff.
Mhm.
And like you said, the body spoke back. It said, it tapped out.
Well, my body's speaking, y'all, because I'm thicker than a snicker, and somebody got to meet me, right?
But I learned with that awareness that it was shame on me for making these people that reliant on me.
I love it. I love it. Intentional healer. Let's continue to move forward, right? Because you have established this platform. I'm talking about dynamic. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I don't know if you've showed up and you've been there, but Activate Your Life is a whole different experience of everyday people coming in contact with awesome messages from people who are walking beside them, not before them, but beside them and sharing their truths. And how did you come up with that idea?
So that whole idea was birthed through me taking a speaker class. And I took a speaker class to scale my business. I had just started my business, Gigi's Natural Hippie Essentials. And I was already in a networking group, and it was, they were advertising for scale your business, learn your business and who your avatar or customer is, and learn how to speak confidently on your business. And I joined the class. Well, I had already met James Griffin a couple months before that, when we were just we were both part of the networking group. And we ended up both in that class, and we ended up both in the same pride.
Okay.
So what he called our teams were prides, and the two other people in our pride were out of town. So it was literally me and James every week in class and doing a lot of our assignments together, spending a lot of time together. It was time for graduation, and we decided to do our graduation speech. We had to do a final conversion speech is what it was called.
Come on.
So we did that December of 2021 and invited other people from that class who were also graduating. And we called it Activate Your Power, because what was unanimous about us was that during the class, we all realized that what we thought we went to that class for was actually not at all what we were there for. We were there for a greater purpose. We were there to utilize our voice and our experience, and all of our experiences, the four of us who linked up from class, are totally different. So it was a no-brainer. We said, how many people can we reach with our dynamic group? And since we had called our series in December, Activate Your Power, a Reverend Randy, who's at Unity Southeast Church, where we've hosted it we've made a 12-month commitment there. He said we could use his space, but he just asked that we please bring his congregation and his community something solid, not just a dip in one time and dip out. So we committed to 12 months there with hopes to literally, like you said, share our story, share what we've been through, and we've been through the muck, and share how we came out of it. It's not just about going through it, it's about how we came out of it, or maybe how we're still working through it. We're not always on the other side of what we're talking about. With hopes that people that are there will hear and feel seen, feel heard, know that they're not alone, and will get the courage to step into their truth. Again, I never encourage anybody to follow my what I believe or anything. All I encourage people to do is to pause, breathe, give themselves some quiet time so they can know who they are.
So she got to a place called There. Some of you are looking for a place called There. And I want to just throw in a little drop in, right? The BTBY conference is coming up. And that's a place called There, with people who are on the move that are not looking for you to become a carbon copy, but are looking to enlighten all that potential that's locked up in you, right? And so when we got to the activate your power, and you walk in there and you got people who are filled with love, and people who are aligned, and people who have vision, and they have power, and they have purpose, right? And in a place called There, you receive a revelation that you wouldn't have gotten while you were here, right? While you were here in sitting in a place of darkness and confusion and limits and limitations. But when you step out the box and you go there, right? You go there. You go there to get training. You go there to go back to school. You go there to the doctor. You go there to go on the date that you scared to go on because the last relationship was a hot mess. I'm just speaking the truth, right? You go there to get the loan for the house because you know you need a house, but you're scared to get there to get the house because you don't know you're capable of having a house.
Right.
It's time we get to a place called There, and activate your power is a place called There, right? It's a monumental movement called There, and it'll be coming to Topeka, Kansas, because we're here in a place called There. But let me land
I
this
want to
ship.
say this about activate your power now and becoming the best you, of why I've chosen to be a part of becoming the best you and work alongside Bryn and her movement, because what I've learned is that you have to be activated before you can even begin to put in the work to become the best you. A lot of people that come into our event have no idea they even need activated. They walk in there supporting somebody else, just doing their due diligence, because either they're comfortable with their cycles that are going on in their life and they've already just made peace with that. That's their life. Or they think they were already making strides in life and they just don't need help. But at the end of it is when we realize that those people are saying to us, wow, I didn't even realize that I needed this. You made me think of God's been telling me this or that, and you just brought that forward in me. So now I would love to come back the next time and maybe even be a part of this. And that's the whole goal, because I know from my family, all these years I spent trying to help my family, my mom, my dad, my older sister, and my older brother. And then I've helped raise all the kids in the family. So some people don't realize, like, they're so comfortable in that dark place. They've already put out the fur rug, the nice comfy pillows, and they're sitting back eating bonbons. And they have already accepted that they got the short end of the deal. And those are the people that I'm trying to reach, because that was me. And I'm here to let them know that whatever you want in life, you can make it happen.
So the intentional healer, just, you've seen it come out, because I was flowing into the next question and she was like, let's get this done right now, right? So the piece that I wanted to say is collaborations are very valuable, right? When we're talking about making an impact on people all throughout the world, right? When we're talking about being intentional with the impact, we can't do it alone.
Right.
And so to partner with another organization, another group that is being intentional and on the move, that was healing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that was impactful. Now that was something that others can look up to and look out at. So I would say, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being willing to go on this journey with us.
Absolutely.
And thank you for being willing to be transparent and awaken others to their best that is yet to come. All right. So I thank you all for joining us on today. This was a great segment. This is my friend, so you ain't even got to worry. We talk all the time, right? But I thank you for tapping in, because when you tap in, that will be the way you can win. Be intentional. Get on the move. If you have not already booked your ticket, why not book it now? This is coming out to you. Get the ticket booked. It is time that you take the steps forward so that you can receive the change that you were meant to see. Thank you so much. Bye, y'all.
Hi, my name is Dean Storr. I'm sure glad you took the time to watch this promo video. And, you know, people call me the Professor Mind Shift. What I do is I'm a mind shift professor. You know, there's nothing like being stuck and not knowing how to get unstuck. And many times the way we get stuck is we just stop. And that's how we get stuck. And so I'm here to help you move from a place of not knowing where you're at and what to do to a place of light, refreshing, peace, calmness. And, you know, you think of the turmoil that most people have in their minds, the day and age that we live in. It's sometimes can be really difficult, can be really hard. And so as a peer life coach, I come side by side. I walk with you side by side. I walk with you on your journey that you're at, and we help you move into a place of uncovering those areas that hold you back. And I'll tell you, when you uncover them, when you see them for what they really are, that dissolves, and now you can bring in the solution. How you can bring in that very thing that you dream about, that you want in life. What is it? You want to write a book? You want to make a movie? You want to have a business, whatever that is in your life. You want to go to college. You want to, find your own space or your own place. It doesn't matter. When you walk side by side, I'm going to walk side by side with you. I am not going to let you go. And I'm here for you. And this is Professor Mind Shift, the Mind Shift Professor, letting you know that we're here all the way to the end.
Hello. I am up in my virtual office doing amazing things. And I've got this event coming up, and I'm so stoked about it because it is about becoming the best version of yourself. But, the reason why this event came about and this whole movement came about is because of my past and because of things that happened to me and the things that I had to overcome. So I'm going to read to you a little portion of a book I wrote in 2015 while I was incarcerated that's about restitution. And it's not about restitution in the form that you're going to think it is. It is a fiction thriller novel. And this chick, man, she really methodically thinks out her life and how she's going to get revenge. Cold, hard revenge. Like 5 years later. So she restructures her whole life, including her body, her size, her physical fitness, her looks. Nobody knows who she is. And she gets what she wants. So I'm going to read this little thing to you, and I just kind of getting started on it. So I want you to put yourself in a situation where you might want to seek revenge. But the problem with revenge is sometimes it's just best served cold, right? Here we go. Here's chapter 1, and it kind of gives just a little bit of a overview of what's going to happen next in this book. Information is money. In the business world, it is survival. The saying too much information is a bad thing couldn't be a truer statement. I sit here reminiscing about things I got away with in life. I was full of hate, vengeance, and revenge. I couldn't see straight with it. Anger had engulfed every feeling in my being. It penetrated through my bones. Everything I had was stolen from me. People I trusted turned on me, betrayed me, took from me. They would pay. I made sure of it. I remember it like it was yesterday. I watched them all beg me to stop. Their screams falling on my ears were as beautiful as birds singing on a new spring day. I remember my husband saying how he wanted to burn their house down with his entire family in it while he watched helpless. My husband could never bring himself to do it. But me? Now that was a different story. I trusted them, all of them. I taught them my life's business practices and strategies. I trained them on how to sell it and to do what I had been successful with for over 20 years. They took everything from me. I turned numb, cold, and uncaring. I started plotting my revenge. My plans were detailed and everything was very methodical. I would execute them to the fullest extent and marvel in their screams. My family and the authorities would never link it to me. Years had passed before the first victim was taken, the first of many. That's just part of chapter 1. You know, this lady was so wronged against that she took time out to recreate herself and take back what she wanted. Now, there's a little bit of violence in here. It is a fiction thriller novel. I don't recommend that anybody do anything in this, but man, this story is, it's edge of your seat. People tell me they can't put it down. They read it throughout a day and a night. It is that good. So, just stay with me for a little bit while I touch with you on the book called Restitution. Find out a little bit more about this character, what she's capable of, how she became this person that she became. And although she's out for revenge and doing some things that are against the law, you actually start to like her. Stay tuned for more.
So I always wanted to write a book, so I'm going to take this time, I'm going to write a book. So I took everybody in my life that I thought had wronged me, and some of them did, maybe not to the extent that I was thinking, and I created a female serial killer, and she killed off every single one of us. I was getting rid of that anger. When I was writing that book, I was always going to write, right?